Adam Lerner, and today I want to talk to you guys about backing up your files. This is a workflow conversation that we're going to have. Backing up your files is incredibly important. The old saying that used to go around, when I worked in the advertising agency was save often, save a lot. And that means that you constantly want to be saving, backing up your work. And you want to save it in multiple iterations. What do I mean by that? Redundancy. The more copies you have, the safer your data is going to be. Now, you don't have to be crazy obsessive and have 25 copies of things. But having at least 2 or 3 versions or 2 or 3 copies of your work is really, really important, okay? Because hard drives fail. Yes, they all fail. It's always going to happen. I mean, I can remember, not even a year ago, I'm sitting there watching TV with my wife. All of a sudden, we hear click, 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 nothing. The hard drive on her laptop just died on its own. She wasn't even using the damn thing, okay? Fortunately, we had all of her data backed up. I ordered a new hard drive, popped it in there, formatted it, migrated everything over, boom, she was back to work. However, I'm talking about photo files, okay, guys? I've had plenty of hard drives fail on me many, many, many times over the years. I've got a solution that I know that Jared also talks about, and we're very fond of. It's the Drobo RAID external hard drive solution. So what that means is that I've got a box that's got a bunch of hard drives. They're in a RAID array. That means that they're all striped together so that instead of it being 5 2-terabyte drives, it's essentially one 12-terabyte drive. Now, the cool thing about Drobo is that these drives kind of have a self-healing nature. So what that means is that there's always a cold spare in there. Now, this is getting really technical and crazy sounding, but what that means is that even though you've got 5 2-terabyte drives, one of them is not doing anything. So if one of the drives fails, the data will write to that drive. You'll get a warning. You'll be able to pull the drive out, put in a new drive, and it'll heal itself. Unbelievable. So I have a primary Drobo, and that's just for my picture files, and they sit on an external device. I've got a secondary identical Drobo that is a complete 100% mirror of that. So every night, that data is backed up as an identical mirror. So what that means is if my primary Drobo fails, I've got my secondary that I can instantly work on. If my computer fails and that primary Drobo fails, I can take that secondary Drobo and put it into another computer because it's got the identical files from my primary. And I recently picked up a 6-terabyte Western Digital quad interface external drive, which basically it's 2 3-terabyte drives. And I know this sounds really boring and all that kind of stuff, but essentially all it is another mirror of my pictures. So if 1 or 2 of these devices fail, I've got yet a 3rd copy. Okay, now, what I can ultimately see doing is rotating that Western Digital in and out of a remote location because, look, God forbid something happens, a fire, a flood, or some kind of a theft, or something happens where my studio gets compromised and all of my data goes away. The only thing that I might have left is what I have online, which is a huge gamble. So that's not worth taking. Now, for you guys, if you don't have this kind of data and you're not quite there yet and you're really just working off of your computer, make sure you have at least 1 external hard drive copy. Do yourself that favor. Make sure you have good naming conventions so that your files are nicely organized, and make sure that you're backing up on a regular basis, at least daily if you're shooting a lot, or at the minimum weekly, okay? Because you don't want to lose that data. Once you lose that data is gone. And hard drives are going to fail. It's not like I want to guarantee this with you guys because it's a pretty shitty thing when it happens, but it happens. It happens to all of us, okay? Now, another thing I also want to talk about is that when you're shooting on a location or remote location, same kind of deal. You want to take your files, you want to put them on your laptop, and then you want to travel with an external hard drive. I'm not a huge fan of these LaCie rugged drives. I think LaCies are pretty crappy, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody out there, but I don't love them. They're kind of cheap, they're plasticky. I don't think the drive controllers are great, but they're cheap and they're easy to come by, and there's no reason why you shouldn't have one of these puppies laying around. This is like either a 500 or a terabyte. It's dual interface USB 3 and FireWire 800, And I can tell you that anytime I'm shooting, tethered specifically, always making that copy, but even if I'm shooting to card, there's a copy on the laptop, there's a copy on here, and then the cards. There's a copy on the cards, and that's another thing to think about. If you're out and about, and let's say you're doing a shoot in a remote location, you're on vacation, or you're actually doing a location shoot, okay, and you're shooting to card, make sure that you back up the files to your laptop, and don't erase the cards until you come home and you have a backup at home, because you really always want to have 2 copies. And speaking of that, if you do have, let's say, your photo shoot all sitting there on your hard drive and you've got it on an external or your cards, make sure that the hard drive or the laptop and the external hard drive aren't all in the same place. Because what that means is that when you're traveling, if everything gets stolen or lost, everything goes. So maybe you keep the external hard drive in your pocket or in your knapsack, and you keep the laptop in your camera bag, whatever the case may be. Just try to keep 1 copy with you on your person, with you. And I'm not saying 24/7 a day, but I'm saying when you're traveling, when you're going through those different exchanges, like through airports and stuff like that, try to keep at least 1 copy on you and maybe 1 copy in your camera bag. Just some things to think about. You know, if you're smart and you plan ahead, you can protect your data. But at the very minimum, I know that this is not the glamorous part of photography, but it's really important to back up, to save often and save a lot. Get your automated script going, whether it's through Time Machine or through another program. I use ChronoSync. I'm a huge fan of it. Super Duper works really nice. There's Carbon Copy Cloner. There's a whole host of them for Mac, PC. I'm sorry, I don't really know that much about, but all I can tell you guys is that this is really important stuff. It's stuff that if it's something you've been putting off for a long time, now is the time to do it, because hard drives have gotten really, really cheap as far as hard drives are concerned, and there's no excuse for not backing up, because if you lose your data, it's gone. All right, so that's it for now. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching my video. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, just click the subscribe button that's located just beneath the video right here. Once you've done that, click on Manage Subscriptions, and then check off whether you want to be emailed when I upload a new video, or if you want those videos to show up in your newsfeed.